When we think of islands, we usually think of land surrounded by water. But if you climb to the absolute highest mountain peaks of Vancouver Island, British Columbia, you will discover a completely different kind of island. Scientists call them sky islands, isolated patches of subalpine tundra that are completely cut off from the rest of the world, not by water, but by a sea of low-altitude forests, valley walls, and warm air that the creatures living at the top cannot cross. And on these sky islands lives a creature found nowhere else on the face of the earth. A unique animal that survived the last ice age, developed its own complex language, and then completely vanished into the shadows. By 2003, this animal's isolation became its curse. There were fewer than 30 of them left in the wild, making them more endangered than the giant panda or the mountain gorilla. This is the story of how an evolutionary marvel was saved from the absolute brink of extinction. To understand how these sky islands were created, we have to travel back 10,000 years to the end of the last ice age. As the massive glaciers that covered British Columbia melted and retreated, they completely reshaped the landscape. They cut Vancouver Island off from mainland Canada, isolating the wildlife. But as the climate warmed up, cold weather animals facing the heat had only one choice: retreat upwards. They climbed higher and higher up the slopes of mountains like Mount Washington and Mount Arrowsmith until they reached the cold, rocky alpine meadows near the peaks. Once the valleys below filled with dense, warm, low-altitude rainforests, these animals were effectively trapped. They became evolutionary prisoners on their own mountain peaks. Over thousands of years of absolute geographic isolation, these trapped animals evolved into a completely distinct species, the Vancouver Island Marmot. They are the largest members of the squirrel family, about the size of a large house cat, with thick, beautiful chocolate brown fur and a distinct white patch around their nose. Because they live in a brutal, high-altitude environment where the winter snow can last for 8 months, they have adapted to become the ultimate hibernators, slowing their heart rates down to just 3 beats per minute deep underground. But their true superpower is their intelligence. To survive the eagles, cougars, and wolves that hunt them on the exposed slopes, they developed a complex vocal language. They have 5 distinct whistles and trills. They literally have a specific alarm call for predator in the air versus predator on the ground, allowing the entire colony to dive into their burrows in seconds. But in the late 1980s and 1990s, their perfect sky islands were violently disrupted. As commercial logging cut deep into the subalpine forests below, it created wide-open paths. Predators like wolves and cougars used these new logging roads to climb straight up into the marmot's mountain sanctuaries. Combined with changing weather patterns that altered their alpine food sources, the marmot population entered a catastrophic tailspin. By 2003, the entire species was down to just 22 known individuals in the wild. They were a single bad winter or a single disease outbreak away from completely disappearing from the planet forever. Mainstream biology prepared to write their obituary. But British Columbia refused to let the ghost of the peaks die. A massive, unprecedented coalition of scientists, wildlife recovery funds, and zoos launched one of the most aggressive captive breeding and reintroduction programs in Canadian history. They built underground winter hibernation facilities at the Vancouver Island Recovery Center and worked with the Toronto and Calgary zoos to breed the marmots in safety. Then, they began the dangerous work of flying the captive-born marmots back up to the Sky Islands by helicopter, gently releasing them into the wild. And the plan worked. Thanks to decades of relentless work, the population has experienced a historic rebound. Wildlife officials celebrated a massive milestone when the wild population officially surged past 400 individuals, reclaiming their ancient territories across more than 20 different mountain peaks. The Vancouver Island Marmot stands as a living testament to the power of BC's extreme geography, and proof that even when a species is confined to the absolute edge of the world, they can be pulled back from the edge of extinction. But this isn't just a story about a single animal's survival. It is a reminder of the wild, untamed magic of British Columbia itself.